Where are the wagons, you guys? We never get any of the good ones here in North America. Golf R wagon, even like an S3 Sportback or an RS3 Sportback, we don't get that. So what do you do? Well, that was Brian, and what you could do is what he did, which is grab the last wagon that VW ever sold here in North America, the Alltrack, and try to prove that the 1.8 liter can do the same as the Golf R's 2 liter. Let's go for a drive.
Nobody gets it, nobody man, nobody fam.
Yeah, my name is Brian. I drive a 2018 Golf Alltrack. The fastest 0 to 60 we've done is 2.96 at the track, and the fastest quarter mile we've done at the track is 10.97 at 124.
About patience, now I couldn't even wait in the room.
Okay, Brian's gonna show us how to do launch control. All right, now what? We're in manual, traction control's fully off?
Yeah.
Does it ever it gets fully disabled?
Yeah, we've got it fully disabled.
Yeah.
So it's just foot on the brake, rev it up to, I think we have it at 4,400 RPM. And then as soon as you hear a couple of pops, you're probably at about 10 PSI, and just take your foot off the brake and go.
And if I kept holding it, you said it would get up to about 14, 15 pounds?
Yeah, if it does about 3 pops on the anti-lag, it's about 13 pounds of pressure.
I love that. Count the pops.
If it pops once, it's about 7. Pops twice, it's about 10. Pop 3.
This is real old school, like hot rod kind of stuff. Drive it by feel. Wait,
but like I said, it's in manual, but it will shift because we've got it set up kill mode for the track.
Cool.
And it should shift at like 72, 74. So we've upped that from the stock 68. So.
Wow. All right. I've seen this car many times at the track, and you guys are going to see clips in a second, but I have never driven this, a true 10-second VW that is not a GTI or a Golf R. Let's go. Oh, wow. Yep. It took, I don't know, maybe half a second. And for the first half second, I'm like, really, Brian? We came all this way to drive the car? And then it's like, wow, boost hits. I think that was 2 pops. That is impressive. Not violent. That's it. There's no way about it. That was awesome. That felt factory. The Alltrack is effectively just a lifted VW Golf wagon or sport wagon that was sold here in North America. This is obviously a North American vehicle, but lifted a little bit and with the black plastic cladding. It's basically like, you know, Audi Allroad or Volvo V90. It's been lifted, or V60. The Golf R wagon, of course, was sold for you guys in Europe, but enthusiasts love to say that they love wagons, and I've met a lot of people who say that, but then they don't back it up with their wallet. The North American market speaks to that, and yeah, Audi has brought the RS6 to the market with some success, and Mercedes now with the E53 AMG wagon that's coming back too, but those are massive Autobahn cruisers. A ton of intake noise, lots of boost noise here. Just sitting in here, first impressions, it feels exactly like a factory all-road would feel. The only dead giveaways would be your boost gauge, which, like I mentioned, really well integrated into the vent over there, and then the paddle shifters. It's got the huge moonroof. This is pretty much the highest trim. So it's got good upholstery. Right now, Brian does have the back seats in it, but that's not how he runs down the track. What is this person doing? Look at this Range Rover driver. U-turn just in the middle of the road. He missed the turn for the golf course. I'm not making that up. That's literally what happened. No, don't be afraid to go on the grass. You have a Range Rover, dude. Vancouver for you. Brutal.
Yeah, the ethos initially was, you know, I love the old Mark I GTI with the cladding, that kind of stuff. So we thought we would do like a modern version of a GTI. Obviously it's all-wheel drive though. Went straight to the IS38. A lot of people do the IS20, from the GTI, but we wanted to go a little bit more power. Golf R Turbo. Kind of had to push it a little bit more and had to shoot for the 10-second runs. We threw in the Garrett 2260S, and we're now at 431 wheel and about 400 torque. So we have 980cc on the multi-port, and then we're just running the stock injectors on the low end. Well, I started working with Tunezilla after I had some issues with the IS38 tune from the previous tuner. So I got in contact with Reese at Tunezilla. They were doing the alpha builds with the multi-port injection at the time, and then they asked me if I wanted to do the beta testing, so we did that. You know, there's map switching, you know, there's all that stuff. I can put it on low boost, high boost. You know, I can run anything from 91 to E85. With the 1.8, we have to kind of tap out at about E60, E65. Tunezilla developed a new launch program for the car, so at the track we're launching at 5,000 RPM, which is super tough on the transmission. The DQ250 is held strong. Now, the Achilles of the DQ250 is definitely the transfer case bevel box, which after about 500 plus launches, this year it's in the bin, so.
Yeah, well, it does say development vehicle on the side of your car. So
exactly.
500 launches, you know, isn't that crazy.
We picked up the Golf R transmission. It is an older Golf R DQ250, so it's still 6-speed, but the gearing is tailored much better for like tracking the car or a drag, you know, at the drag strip. So, you know, the platform is a lot stronger than people probably give it credit for, but it works, you know, exceptionally well.
Now, it isn't quite there, but this is nipping at the heels of a stock 992 911 turbo in the quarter mile. It's nipping at the heels of a Corvette Z06 in the quarter mile. Now, those run a 10.5-ish in the quarter mile, and this runs a 10.9 and 4/10 in the quarter mile. It's a lot, but compared to a stock, actually, we're just gonna go back in auto real quick. While I talk to you, daily driver mode. This in stock form made 170 horsepower, so Brian's tripled the power. So it may not be supercar quick, but it's still quicker down the quarter mile than a Lamborghini Urus Performante, Audi RS6, Hyundai's 671 horsepower Ioniq 5N, the M5 Touring, the Maserati MC20, and the Tesla Model 3 Performance. You get the idea. Fourth gear, 2,300 RPM. Yeah, 3,000. There's 26 pounds of boost right there. Just wow. Those brakes though, he didn't do. I'm about to throw shade at you, Adam. He didn't do what Adam from Van City Audi did, or does. This is like a running theme with him, where for his drag cars, he downsizes the brakes to save weight and potentially fit a different set, a smaller set of wheels for like drag radials, whatever. Brian hasn't done that. These are factory Golf R brakes. Boost is, as you would expect with a 1.8, it just hits. It's out of boost to in boost. There's such a massive gap. You know, torque is pushed up, obviously, but it's not past 4,000 RPM. It's actually fully, like, by 3,300 RPM there, I was at 16 pounds of boost. Yeah, 3,300 RPM, around there, 16 pounds of boost, and you've got plenty of passing power. We'll do another launch, though. Even though this doesn't have like a ton of like visceral sounds or like vibrations going on in here, you feel the speed. You really feel the speed. And that, in my experience, is the case in any of these MQB platform cars. zero disruption in torque and in the chassis when you shift coming out of a corner. I can definitely feel Haldex kind of playing around with the torque though. Still feels front biased, of course, because it is.
Right now we are basically a custom tuned 2260. We're a custom tuned transmission, especially now with the Golf R. And then we're just the standard Haldex tune, but with the race spring.
So the bottom end, totally stock.
Totally stock bottom end. We haven't gone in, we haven't touched anything. It's all full bolt on. You know, we're still using like stock charge pipes, which, you know, people still can't believe. So I guess we're technically not full bolt on, but you know, we're close.
But so no meth injection, anything like
No,
that?
not yet.
Wow, not yet.
Well, one day, right? Like,
Well, so how far are you gonna take this?
I want to push this. I want to push as far as humanly possible with the 1.8, without having to build the engine. You know, without having to do a 2-liter, you know, change or put a Daza in it or something. You know, like I want to keep the ethos of the Alltrack as much as possible. Obviously, we've switched out the transmission, but argument's sakes, it's still a DQ 250. You can hit me up on my Instagram. You know, I get basically DMs every day asking about stuff, which I'm fine with. It's totally cool.
Yeah.
Volkswagen North America, if you're listening, you need more wagons and you got to get away from these little SUV things. Bring back the wagon.
Anything that starts
Please.
with an ID,
Yes.
toss it in the bin.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, thanks, Brian.
No problem. Thank you.
Awesome. There are a couple things once you begin driving that would give it away. And that would be, you're gonna hear some engine mounts, some chassis bracing, the trans mounts, bushings, stuff like that, because Brian's pretty much done all that here. He's reinforced the back end. It's got sway bars. It's got all the mounts that would stiffen everything up, because Brian's built this car not only as a daily, but to go as quick as humanly possible in a straight line. And what that requires is just the car to be as composed as possible in a squat. You guys know, right? Drag racing is an entirely different game. And luckily, that hasn't compromised the daily drivability too much. It's actually not that loud. You do get a little bit more road feel, more road noise. I'm actually the most impressed right now with how well this thing drives. It's sitting on Bilstein dampers and iBox springs, and it's not stiff at all. That's the one thing I was worried about. And like, that was the one thing. If I had gotten in this car and it had beat me up in any way, shape, or form, I'd be like, well, okay, you got 70% of the way there. But no, it rides really comfortable. Love that. Pulling a U-turn, there's no rubbing. Brian doesn't have any spacers on the wheels. 235s all the way around. This is obviously a street setup. If he was at the track, he'd be running a drag radial. Above boost threshold, 3,800. Wow. Wow. Such a cool build. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love sleepers. I love a good sleeper wagon. A car that was not really built for crazy power, crazy cornering, but that feels totally at home when those things are just thrown at it. And it's not past the limit of, hey, you've ruined the car or it can't corner. This thing handles great. It's way flatter in the corners than an Alltrack should ever be. Just an awesome car. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. You can find all of Brian's stuff in the description. We'll see you soon.
Nobody gets it, nobody man, nobody fam.